welcome back. Today's video, we are going to be unwrapping my wrapped TBR. I'm very excited about this. I want to just take a minute because I can't even believe we're here in July. Today is July the 2nd, I believe, that I'm filming this, and it's blowing my mind that this year has just gone by so quickly. I've really been trying to just enjoy the summer and just really like take it all in before it's gone, because I feel like before I know it, it's going to be cold again and it's just crazy. So anyway, rant over. Last month's wrap TBR, I picked the I Love Lucy book, which I have been thoroughly enjoying, and I am almost done with it. I hope to finish this within the next couple of days. I am concerned though, because I already know what book this is based on the size, the thickness, and how heavy it is. All of these other ones, I don't think I know what they are at the moment, but I am a little bit worried because this is gonna take me a while to read, I feel, and I'm just scared. I don't even have to unwrap it to know what it is. But let me unwrap it so you can see what it is. It's the Goldfinch. I painted the pages silver because I thought it would be really cool with the white, and I really do like how it looks. So I picked this up randomly just because I loved that it was white and huge, and I thought it would look really cool like on my bookshelf, and I pretty much just picked it up as decoration. I knew nothing about this author, I knew nothing about the book, but then I've been seeing a lot about this author. I'm seeing a lot of, I think it's like the art and history or something like that. I'll put it on the screen, but I've been seeing a lot about that book, and people are saying it is amazing. The author is just such a good writer, and if you've read that one, you've got to read this one, yada yada. So anyway, this I knew was in my wrap TBR, so I didn't read that other one, knowing that I was going to read this one first. And let me just get a page count for you, because it is a thick book, let me tell you. It's a little intimidating. It is 771 pages. Like, let me just show you this right there. Yeah, that's insane. This is probably gonna take me a while to read, but I am going on a road trip because I am originally from New York. And it is a bit of a road trip. We are driving because we're taking our dogs, me and my husband, and we're gonna go back to New York to go visit my family. So I have a long road trip ahead of me, and this will be coming with me, and I will be doing like an on the road vlog of me reading it and reviewing it, and I'm sure. Reading The Goldfinch, and this has been a very intimidating book. For reference, it is now September. I picked this book in July, and I have not started reading it until I might have picked it up at the end of August. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but it's been a while. I'm finally getting to this one. I still have August's pick, obviously, and then September's pick, but have to do this one first because I have to go in order. I can't put something off. So I was really intimidated by this book, obviously because of the size. It is almost 800 pages, I think. Yeah. And I didn't know much about this. I really wanted to go into this as blind as possible. I have seen a couple of people do reviews for this and say it is amazing and they love the author. Donna Tartt is the author, and she also wrote The Secret History, which is like a really popular book right now. I've not read that either, but I had this one on my shelf and I saw people raving about it, and I knew it was going to be in my wrap TBR challenge, and I was like, okay, when I get to this, I'm totally going to read it. I'm going to fly through this. I'm going to just commit to it, and even if it's the only book I read that month, I'm going to do it. Well, come September now, I'm finally getting into it, and I just said to myself, okay, I'm going to give myself as much time as needed for this. Like, it just doesn't matter anymore. I'm already 2 months behind, so let's just get into it. Let's just read it. So what I did was I started reading it physically, and then I also got on the reserve list for the audiobook from the library. So I got like, I don't know, 20, 30 pages into it. Then I got the audiobook. Then I started listening to the audiobook. And sometimes, like when you're starting a book like this, where you're not that invested in it and it is a huge book, it is easier to just get started with the audiobook. And in this case, that was definitely true. So I have been going back and forth from audiobook to physical book. I think like every chapter I'm doing that. And these chapters are massive. Like they're probably 100 pages for each chapter. So I've been doing that just to like stay committed to also physically reading it, because I do have the physical copy and I do want to physically read it. So anyway, all of that's out of the way now. Let me tell you a little bit about what I think so far. I am a little over 200 pages into this. And in the beginning, it is a little slow. It is a little like, what is going to happen here? Am I going to be invested for 800 pages worth in the same character? Like, I don't know. So I was a little nervous about that in the beginning for a good amount of pages. And then there's some mystery happening. There's some things you want to find out. There's like this boy's life that's unfolding and you're like, how are things going to go here? It's really good, actually. The writing style, I think, is what makes it so good. It's just very well written. I think that's probably why everyone loves this author so much, is because yes, she writes these massive books, but like it just takes you on such a journey and you don't want the book to end. Like I'm already 200 pages in and I could go another like all the way to 400 pages and be really happy. So we'll see how I feel at 400 pages. I don't know. I don't typically read thick books very often because I am intimidated by them. So that is why I put this in my wrap TBR, so I can force myself to read something really huge like this that I didn't necessarily have a giant interest in right off the bat. However, it is proving to me that I really like it so far. It's so intriguing. You are really rooting for your main character. His name is Theo. His mom died. His dad is like non-existent in his life. And he's living with a family right now from his school. And he's just like dealing with grief and loss and being a young kid that's lost pretty much both his parents and is an orphan and just doesn't really know where to go in life or how to continue, because him and his mom were extremely close. And it's really sad, honestly, in the beginning, but it's sad in like a good way almost. Like you're almost like, it makes it better in a way. I don't know how that kind of sounds wrong, but like for some reason it makes it better. And it makes you become really invested and you really love Theo and you just want to see good things for him and you want to know how his life is going to continue. And then there's this old man that gave him this heirloom ring that was like very expensive. And he was told to bring it to this location, and then he does, and then he finds like a whole another box of mystery. So that's really cool too. It's like a side story. I love when authors do that, and it gives you something else to focus on, and it's making it really exciting, and you really just like want to know what's going to happen with that. And is he going to get back to it? Is he not? Like, what's going on there? I have a feeling it's going to be a big story under there, and I cannot wait to unwrap that. So I am going to get back to reading. I feel like I've talked enough already. So let's go read. So I have read some more in the Goldfinch, as you just saw, and I just wanted to talk to you about it really quick. So I am 3/4 of the way done with this. I'm almost done with it. I say that, but like I have like 300 more pages to go, so no big deal. But so far I've really been enjoying this. I'm so pleasantly surprised by this. I really didn't think that I was gonna like it as much as I do, and I'm really glad about that because it is super long, and I was kind of worried going into this that like I wasn't gonna feel as connected to the characters as I need to be to go 800 pages with them. But so far I love our main character. His name is Theo, and the author does a really good job of making you feel like really sympathetic for Theo and very connected to him from the very beginning because you go through this traumatic experience with him. He is in an explosion in a museum and his mom dies and he's left in the world alone because he has a dad But he was an alcoholic and he hasn't seen him for many years, and he's just non-existent in their lives. So he's pretty much an orphan. Social services had to step in and take care of him and rehome him. And he got lucky enough that one of his friends from school, their families took him in, and he's been staying with them. And he's feeling like he's a part of their family, but not really, because he's like on the outside. And people are saying kind of bad things about him, that like they shouldn't take him in and they shouldn't help him. And the siblings of his friend from school like kind of think he's like a thief, and they don't trust him, they don't really like him, they find like he's taking attention from their parents, and like all understandable stuff, but also really makes you feel very sympathetic for Theo, and you just really want the best for him. And he's very depressed. He's like just going through the grief period about losing his mom. And him and his mom were really, really close, and they did everything together. So this loss is like very hard for him. And so he's in this family, and he's kind of trying to pull himself together, and this is probably the best place for him to be, I would say. But then something happens, and he gets put into an even worse situation. And he starts going down the wrong path. He meets his friend Boris, and he's Russian, and he's like, his dad drinks a lot, and so he has like unlimited access to drinking. And so they start getting into that, and they're like 12 or 13 at the time, and they're getting into that. They're like drinking every day. They're, you know, having bad effects from that. It's just not good. They're getting sick all the time, and they pretty much have no parental supervision. And they just do whatever they want, and they're getting into that world of bad stuff, and they're doing other things that I can't say on YouTube, but pretty much it's very bleak. It's not a good situation where Theo is at, and his poor friend Boris too is also just not in a good situation, because he also lost his mom, and he just has his dad, and his dad is non-existent pretty much in his life. He's just in and out, and it's just not a good situation for either of them. But like, at least they have each other, but at the same time they influence each other badly. So I don't know if that's really true or not, but you just are really, really rooting for him this whole time, and you just really want him to get his life together. And then he like tries to a little bit, and then he kind of just like falls backwards, and this happens like a lot. So yeah, and then some other bad stuff starts happening to him that is insane. And he finds out, I don't think I can tell you this, but he finds out something nutty, and his mind is kind of blown, and it's hard for him to even wrap his mind around it, because he can't even believe that it's something that would happen. And Boris sees it happening, and Boris is like trying to be protective of him, but he's not really allowing that. And so he goes from that situation into an even worse situation, which is hard to believe. But now he's homeless, and he's out on the street, and he has a dog that he's trying to take care of, because it was like being not taken care of, and he just didn't want to leave it where he was living before that. And so he took the dog with him. Now he's this kid, and he's just wandering the streets alone with his dog, trying to figure out how he's going to get food or shelter or anything. And it is crazy. And I'm like really wondering how they're going to wrap this up with 300 pages. And I did not think this was a sad story, but it's pretty sad. It's a pretty bleak story. I think that's a perfect word. The word bleak is a perfect word for this book. But it's also extremely entertaining and a page turner, and I cannot put it down, because I just want to know that Theo is going to be okay, and he's going to get his life together, and things are going to look up. So if he ends up dying at the end of this book, I am going to be really upset, and I'm not going to be able to tell you that because I don't want to give away spoilers, but just know I'm going to be very upset about that. But let's go read, and we're going to find out how this is going to all end. I have finally completed The Goldfinch, and it has been a book. It really took me a while to read this. I think it took me well over a month to read this. Might have even gone into 2 months. I'm not sure, but it was a very long book. But that's not to say that it was not good. I did rate it 4 stars. I was pretty happy with this book. I am not going to lie, though, towards the end of it, I started listening to the audiobook and only the audiobook because it was just taking me forever to read it. And I was like, I need to just wrap this up. I need to know what happens. And reading it is taking way too long. So did do that. But basically, we do get a solid wrap up of what happens with Theo's life, with the remainder of his life. I think the last time I talked to you, he was like a teenager and he had just like become homeless. Things do like look up again for him. They do get bad again for him. Pretty much his whole life, he's just on this like roller coaster of like bad, good, bad, good, bad, good. And then there really isn't an in between for him though. Like he just kind of, it's one or the other. So really a lot of insane things happen that are really dramatic and very entertaining to read about. I was thoroughly entertained throughout this entire book, even though it was so huge and it took so long to read. Every time I sat down to read it, I found myself like very entertained and I was just very invested in the story, in the characters, the whole thing. I'm very happy I read it. I am very proud of myself for reading such a huge book for my wrap TBR, because I could have taken the easy route and just read a small book and just gone with that, but I didn't. So I'm happy about that, and I'm happy that it's over, to be quite honest with you. Am I happy with how it ended? Kind of, like, I guess. It could have gone so many different ways, and we just ended up with what we ended up with. And you know what? Sometimes that's what happens in life too. I'm not going to say it was bad, good, in between. I'm not going to tell you how the ending was. It was very close to real life. It was like a very real story. And I appreciated that. And I don't always like these fairy tale endings in books because like that's not life. And yes, it's a fiction book and everything, so of course like you want to have a happy ending, but I don't always want a happy ending in a book, you know. And that's not to say that this book didn't have a happy ending, but I don't want to give too much away, so I'm gonna leave it there. It was really a good read. It was an interesting read from start to end. I was insanely invested in Theo's life. And to be honest with you, I would be interested to hear like about any descendants that Theo might have had in his lifetime and like what their story was. Like I feel like that could be another branch for this author, but I feel like the author will most likely leave it where it's at. I think it was just very well written, very well thought out, and it just went along like a real life story that really could have happened. And I really appreciated that. So I'm happy to have read this. I'm going to be done with this one now. And we're going to move on to the next Drop TBR book. And you are going to have to wait to find out what that is for the next video. So make sure you're checking back for that because there's always a video here every single Friday, and I would love to see you back for that. And also, if you would like to connect with me in other ways, I have all of my socials listed below, and also I have my Instagram. That is my main other social networking platform that I use. So if you'd like to connect with me on there, I'd love to see you over there. And please like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed today's video. And if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you check out my blind TBR because it is very similar to my wrap TBR. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you will probably enjoy some of those. I usually link those below as well, so go ahead and feel free to peruse those and just go check out my channel because I have lots of videos on there at this point, and I would love for you to see some other videos. Whew, but I think that's it. I think that's all I've got to say for today. I wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet because I know that the video has gone on for a long time, but that's because the book was so thick. So I hope that this was entertaining, and I will see you on a new video soon. Bye.